Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Jazz Loft. How you all doing out there? Oh, no. Let's try that one more time. I said, good evening. How you all doing out there? There we go. Let me tell you, I believe there's something like 3.8 million people that live in Suffolk County. And out of all of those residents, you all this evening chose the right thing to do tonight. That's right. We're so glad you're here. This is show number 9. This is our closing show of the Nutcracker. Yeah, and you all are here. A quick housekeeping detail. If you have a cell phone, please take that out. Make sure that that is on silent, so you're not that person whose phone goes off in the quietest moment of the show. You know how that goes, right? If you wish to take a photo or a video, that's okay. Just be mindful of those around you. And again, we're so glad that you are here. But before we dig into the Nutcracker, we'd like to warm up the band. Is that okay? Can we get the band warmed up for you all? Here's a little something you might recognize.
Here we go, y'all. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3,
you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Well, to give you a little background knowledge to what you're about to hear, the great Mr. Duke Ellington and his orchestra in the year 1960 were booked for 5 weeks at the Riviera Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Sold out show after sold out show after sold out show. They had just been extended an additional 5 weeks when the head executive from Columbia Records called and had an offer for Mr. Ellington to try and woo him away from the record label that he was with. Ellington, the consummate gentleman, politely declined. And the next day, the executive called back. Mr. Ellington reminded him that they had had this conversation already. But the executive said, well, I have 2 things to offer you. The first is a lot more money. Ellington said, I'm listening. And the second was something that no artist had, at least up until that point in 1960, which was complete control over production of their recordings. And they told Mr. Ellington, if you sign with Columbia, you can do whatever you want. And so Ellington agreed, always the artistic genius. He had always wanted to do a jazz version of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite. And so what you are about to hear this evening is that very first album that he recorded for Columbia Records. Now, to set the stage, so to speak, if you would imagine with me, it's Christmas Eve, and family and friends have gathered in the parlor to decorate the beautiful Christmas tree, similar to the one in the back there. And they put all sorts of candles and ornaments and decorations on it. And when the tree is complete, they call for the kids to come check out the tree. And they all come running down the stairs. They stand in front of the tree in awe of all the lights and the decorations that are on it. Now, the music you hear to accompany this scene, Mr. Tchaikovsky called the Overture. And Mr. Ellington thought that he would call it the Overture. party begins. Presents are given out to all of the children, but suddenly, as the owl-topped grandmother clock strikes 8, a very mysterious figure enters the room, and his name is Drosselmeyer. Now, Drosselmeyer is a local councilman, he's a magician, and he also happens to be little Clara's godfather. And in addition to this, he's a very, very talented toy maker who has brought with him gifts for all the children, including these 4 lifelike dolls that dance to the amusement of all of the kids. But he has them put away for safekeeping. Now, most of the kids are not bothered by this, but little Clara and her brother Fritz are rather upset to see the dolls disappear. But Drosselmeyer has yet another toy for them, a little wooden nutcracker carved in the shape of a man for cracking nuts. And the other children, well, they ignore it, but Clara immediately takes a liking to it. Now, those of you that are parents, you know how this goes. Fritz had no interest until his sister was interested in the nutcracker. Okay? And then the fighting begins. You're not sharing, it's my nutcracker. No, it's yours, I'm at first. And the nutcracker breaks. Now, Fritz goes off. He's not really bothered by this, but Clara is rather heartbroken. And the music you hear to accompany this, Tchaikovsky called Dance of the Reed Pipes. But Mr. Ellington felt that in the jazz world, there could be a much hipper title for this music. And so he decided to call it Calipatootie Toot Toot Tootie Toot. Columbia Records said, we think that's a little too long for the back of the LP. Mr. Ellington reminded them, you said I could do whatever I wanted. And so the compromise was Toot Toot Tootie Toot. Well, during the night, after everyone else had gone to bed and was fast asleep, little Clara decides to return to the parlor to check on her beloved Nutcracker. And as she reaches the little bed where the Nutcracker was, the clock strikes midnight. And she looks up to see Drosselmeyer perched atop the clock. Now she thinks she must be dreaming. She rubs her eyes, but indeed, there is Drosselmeyer atop that clock. And suddenly, mice begin to fill the room. And the Christmas tree begins to grow to higher and higher and dizzying heights. And the Nutcracker also grows to life size. And Clara finds herself in the midst of a battle between an army of gingerbread soldiers and the mice who are led by their king. And the battle goes back and forth and the mice wind up retreating. And the Nutcracker is transformed into a handsome, debonair prince in a red and blue Christmas jacket with a red tie and a red cap and blue crystal cufflinks. And I digress, I apologize. And this handsome debonair prince leads Clara through the moonlit night to a pine forest where the snowflakes dance all around them, beckoning them on to his kingdom. Now the music that you hear to accompany this scene, Tchaikovsky called the March. And Mr. Ellington thought it would be far more fun if we called it the Peanut Brittle Brigade.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Mr. John Marshall on the tenor saxophone. John Marshall. So you all need to know something. We keep John hidden behind the Christmas tree for a reason. Okay. First of all, he's very talented. Okay, and the second reason is he's quite handsome. Okay, and he's also single. And if all you ladies saw him, you'd be throwing money and other things that would turn this into something other than a family show. You all know what I mean here? So, but he's got a great job and he makes a lot of money. And you can meet John after during intermission and possibly even at the end of the show. That's very true. True story. Well, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Clara and the prince travel to the beautiful land of sweets that is ruled by the sugar plum fairy in the prince's place until his return. And he recounts for her how he had been saved from the Mouse King by Clara and how he had been transformed back into his own self. Now, in honor of this young heroine, a celebration of sweets from around the world is produced. And we see chocolate from Spain and coffee from Arabia. We see tea from China and candy canes from Russia, and they all dance for their amusement. There's these wonderful Danish shepherdesses who perform on their flutes, and the sugar plum fairy, now turned into a West Indian beauty, disappears into the cane fields. Now, the most famous of our music to eat sweets by is this next movement, and Tchaikovsky called it the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Now, Mr. Ellington knew this was a very famous piece of music. He knew it would be very hard to top it, and especially hard to top the title. But after deliberating and pondering long and hard, he did think of one thing that might be an improvement upon it. And so he calls this next movement Sugar Rum Cherry. It's just Sugar Rum Cherry. We do put the spotlight in the spirit of improvisation upon two musicians who will offer you an improvised introduction to this movement. I speak of Mr. Mark Wade on the upright bass, ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. John Melly on the drums. That's Mr. Jeff Selzda on the baritone saxophone, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Eric Kay on the clarinet and tenor saxophone. Mr. Gary Meyer on the alto saxophone. Behind the Christmas tree, Mr. John Marshall on the tenor saxophone. And ladies and gentlemen, a real joy to say that this man has joined us these last 2 nights. Just yesterday, he flew in all the way from Sweden. It is such an honor to have him with us on the alto saxophone, Mr. Klaus Lindquist, ladies and gentlemen. Well, at this point, Mr. Ellington and Mr. Tchaikovsky agreed that a little bit of a break or a palate cleanser was necessary. And so Tchaikovsky called this the Entr'acte, and Mr. Ellington calls it the Entr'acte.
1, 2, 1, 2,
Well, the next delectable delight that gets a little dance are those candy canes from Russia. Now, Tchaikovsky called this the Russian dance, and Ellington has what, in my opinion, is the most creative rename in all of the suite. Are you ready? He calls this next movement Volga Vouty. Isn't that's kind of like, it's catching, right? But try it with me now, y'all. Ready? So we want to invite you in on a little something. We started this. Oh, really? Well, why don't we go at Volga Vouty? Yeah, being that I already went there, and now that you embarrassed me and pointed out that I made a mistake, with this, jazz improvisation, you know how it is. We're just going with the feel of things, So we started many years ago with a little grassroots movement where we invited people to join the Volga Vouty campaign. And the first year, it spread through into St. James and Smithtown. By the next year, it was well into like Northport and Kings Park. To give you an idea, the last few years, Suffolk County, Nassau County, then we heard rumors of Connecticut, New England, and just a few weeks ago, y'all with me here? Eric Kay, right here on the tenor saxophone, on tour on the West Coast in Los Angeles, doing an Engelbert Humperdinck tribute show, okay? Melrose and La Brea in Los Angeles, and what did you experience?
Somebody said Volga Vouty.
Volga Vouty in Los Angeles, California, ladies and gentlemen. So we want to invite you all to join this. Now here's how it goes. I'll paint a hypothetical for you. I know this is a real stretch, but go with me here. Assume in the next few days you experience some traffic on Long Island. Somebody cuts you off to beat you to the red light. We want you to pull up right next to them. We want you to look them dead in the eyes. We want you to roll down your window. When they roll down their window and they're ready for a fight, you look at them and you say, Volga Vouty. okay? Here's one more now, okay? Let's assume if you haven't completed your holiday shopping, you're online in Macy's, Target, Walmart, wherever it may be, okay? There's somebody in front of you, tons of things to purchase. They're trying to use a coupon from the Reagan administration. We want you to look at them, and when they think you're gonna have some snide remark, you just look them in the eyes and you say, Volga Vouty, okay? That you're on board now, okay? We want to hear that this is all the way in Hawaii by next year. Okay? This is Volga Vouty.
Here we go. And 1, 2, 1, 2, ah!
Well, on this particular off night, the next dance was this next song, which celebrated the tea from China, and Tchaikovsky called the Chinese dance. And in 1960, Mr. Ellington thought that needed a bit of updating, and in his incredibly suave and debonair way of speaking, he thought it would be much cooler, much hipper, you dig, if we called this chinoiserie. Chinoiserie. Isn't that, it's very elegant, right? Isn't that? I have no idea what that means, but God bless you. So we would like to present to you now the chinoiserie. Well, this next dance celebrates the coffee and the cookies. Now, I don't know about y'all, but my recollections of a kid growing up around the holidays, especially around Christmas time, was about 36 of my great aunts all cooking in the kitchen at the same time. And then all the food would come out and it would cover the table where you couldn't see the tablecloth at all. And we just wanted presents, you know. So then dessert was next, which was really exciting because everybody would bring their number one hit, you know. And I remember my great aunt Rowie, she had this wonderful recipe for crumb cake, which pretty much was 5 pounds of butter, 4 pounds of sugar, and then you just sprinkle some cinnamon on top. And I remember my Uncle Tony would pull in, you know, the driveway with his big Lincoln, and my mom would say, you know, go outside and help Uncle Tony and he'll roll with the cake, you know. And I'd go and he'd open the big trunk, and there would be the cake and, you know, 4 bodies. And I'd take the cake, and she, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? And she used to put that in the brown paper bags used to get in the grocery store. You know, there'd be all these oil stains on it, which I knew it was really good. My pop, you know, Sal Mazzucchelli, he used to tell me, you know, if you go to school and you're going to trade your lunch at school, you know, trade with the kid that's got the oil stains on the bag, you know. So anyway, I digress, but the dessert was wonderful, and that was a great memory. And then I knew after that was presents, and you know, we'd be begging and say, Uncle Ron, when do we have presents? He'd be like, shut up, we don't open the presents till 2 o'clock. You know? And we'd be trying to stay awake, and then we'd get our presents. But anyhow, this next movement celebrates the coffee and the cookies and all those wonderful desserts. And Tchaikovsky called it the Arabian dance, and Mr. Ellington thought it would be a little more fun if we called it Arabesque Cookie. Ladies and gentlemen, with his doctorate from tambourine, from the University of Saskatchewan, Mr. Vince Cinquani, ladies and gentlemen, on the trumpet. Well, to conclude the night, the Sugar Plum Fairy and her cavalier perform this final waltz. The show's not over. We have more, but the Nutcracker is over. Please don't storm the stage. But wait, there's more. But the Nutcracker is coming to the end. It's okay. It's okay. Please do not revolt. It's the holidays. Be kind. I rented this. I have to have it back by tomorrow morning. Okay. This final waltz is performed by all the sweets, and Mother Ginger and her children, the Polichinelles, emerge from under her enormous hoop skirt to dance, and this beautiful string of flowers also dance as well, after which the Sugar Plum Fairy ushers Clara and the prince down from their throne. There's still more, okay? There's still more. He bows to her and she kisses Clara goodbye and leads them to a reindeer-drawn sleigh. And it takes off as they wave goodbye to everybody who waves back to them. Now, the closing music for this Tchaikovsky called the Waltz of the Flowers. Mr. Ellington calls it the Dance of the Floreadores, okay? Now, in Ellington's world, whatever Floreadores are, they are not waltz lovers, and this one-time waltz now jumps. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the conclusion of the first half of the show, which concludes the Nutcracker Suite. But there will be more music after the intermission when you all visit the bar and have something to drink, because the more you drink, the better I sound. And so we present to you the Dance of the Floreadores, which is not the end of the show, but the end of this half. trombone. He's
Good shot.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Jazz Loft Big Band, that is the conclusion of Duke County Picks. Coming up this week, but there's more to come. Please get a drink at the bar, and swap your phone number to John Marshall. We'll be right back. Thank you so much.